Hello and welcome to the Curriculus. I'm a Monk, and today we are doing a video on Age of Wonders 4. Now, this video is going to be a tips video with the latest update that has been released for Age of Wonders 4, that being the Watchers update. I thought it'd be another good idea to release yet another tips video. Now, this is a 4X strategy game, and that is why there is so much little finicky things that can be really helpful to know, to understand how certain mechanics work. The game has a decent tutorial, but I do feel that these little tips videos can really help a player out. This video is going to be both for experienced players and, of course, players that are jumping into the game for the very first time. Hopefully you will find one of these tips useful. If you do, let us know down in the comments. If you have a tip that I have not shared, either in this video or any of the other tip videos, let us know down in the comments too. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, that way you don't miss out on more videos just like this in the future. Now, tip number one is actually going to be about something called stability. Now, the game doesn't really go on it too much, but at the end of the day, if you lose too much stability, you're going to have a lot of not so kind missions pop up. You're going to have to make tough decisions, and that is going to affect your city stability. The worse your city stability actually is, that affects your income. If you have a poor city stability, you're going to get nerfed and debuffed on certain incomes, including that gold. That gold is going to be really important, of course. If you have a good city stability, then you can have the opposite effect. Managing this little mechanic within the game can be really important, and expanding too quickly early game can seriously impact your city stability. Personally, I love a quick expansion, but if you're gonna expand quickly, you have to understand that adding a single province to your city is actually going to have a -5 effect on your city stability. It's something that can be really easily forgotten, really easily overlooked. There are obviously some different affinities that can control this mechanic a little bit easier than others. But like I said, it's something the game kind of glosses over. So understanding that when you expand, that gives you a -5 is really helpful. But did you know you can actually do something within a game that took me an embarrassing long time to actually realize that self, that if you actually click on your managing that city, whichever city it is, you can actually give yourself a whispering stone. So at the beginning of the game, if you want to expand very, very quickly, you haven't encountered any free cities that you necessarily want to vassalize, or perhaps you're just not going for that playthrough and you happen to have a spare whispering stone, well, you can actually give it to yourself, and this will have a benefit to your city per turn. It can be really helpful, especially early game. Tip number two is mind control. Mind controlling troops are amazing within this game. There are a couple of tomes that actually give you these mind controlling troops rather early. Actually, we are talking about really early troops. You've got Tome of Fertility, and the nymph here gives you the ability to mind control other troops. Now, it is only a 60% chance of actually doing it, but my god, if you have a load of these early game, it can be so helpful. Alternatively, if Tome of Fertility isn't something you're going to go down, perhaps you're not going down the nature route, you could always go down the order route, because the order line also has a tome for you that actually has a mind controlling troop there too. Now, the Tome of the Beacon also gives you the ability to have the Lightbringers. These Lightbringers have the same effect as the Nymphs, and it's also with that 60% chance to take control of your enemy troop. Really helpful, especially early game. If you manage to get these unlocked quickly, it can be really helpful. Tip number 3 is that with the Watcher update, the Enemy, the AI now scale with you. And based on your difficulty will determine on how much they scale. So if you ever fought an AI and thought they just have a never-ending supply of troops, well, that's because essentially they do. So on the hardest difficulty in the game, the AI will try and have 100% more troops than you currently have on that field. Tip number 4 is going to be, don't neglect your outposts. Now, outposts can be really important. They can be really powerful. Yes, they do cost some gold to upkeep, but if you put them in the right location, they can also give you access to a few extra nodes that your actual main city or other cities wouldn't necessarily be able to reach, including, of course, with the Watcher update, being able to then get a golden ancient wonder within your empire. Taking advantage and remembering outposts can be really useful. With a slight upgrade, you can then get another province under your control. And of course, with the Watcher update, the chosen destroyers are now even more powerful, and therefore outposts are more important to them too. Tip number 5 is going to be patience. When you take a city, you don't necessarily have to choose what you do with that city straight away. Now, defeating a city typically gives you certain rewards. After defeating the city, you get to choose whether to vassalize them, whether to destroy them, whether to bring their culture to your empire, or of course, just migrate your culture into them, completely destroying their existence. But you don't have to make that decision straight away. Let's pretend you don't have the Imperium to do what you want there and then. Well, you don't have to make that decision. Press Y on console, end your turn manually, and then just wait it out until you have got enough Imperium to do what you want, or of course you have raided all of their provinces, because even after you've defeated a city, you can still go ahead, raid their provinces and get that extra gold, and then make your decision after that. And following on to that, tip number 6 is going to be, don't forget about raids. Raiding can be really useful. Firstly, to your economy. Secondly, to your actual troops itself. When you raid, you get some gold. But with a perk within the Chaos line, when you raid, you can also not only get that from a 2-turn basis to a 1-turn basis, but you can also get your troops extra health for raiding. Now, in my opinion, that can be really useful, especially when you are going into an enemy's kingdom, you are on a large map, your troops get injured, it can take a long time for them to heal up. And the last troop of the video is early game. This is an early game tip. Don't forget to explore. Exploration is probably more important than expansion early game, because the map is quite often littered with rewards. We are talking about more than enough rewards to give you the upper edge in the game, whether you are on multiplayer or single player. Exploring that early game can be so useful. You can get yourself free troops, free food, free production, free mana, free gold. There's so many rewards out there. Most of those things can be unguarded. We're talking about loot that you can literally just go up and walk on. So creating scouts at the beginning of the game just to give you those extra eyes on the field. Splitting up that first starting army that you get and just concentrating on exploration can be so useful, because there are tons of rewards out there that you can pick up without ever needing a fight, not to mention the easy fights that are guarding slightly better rewards as well. But there we go, guys. Those are my brand new quick tips. Things that I kind of wish I knew a little bit earlier. Some things that I just kind of overlooked. Personally, the mind controlling troops, I never really focused on them too much originally, but I do think that with this new update that we have, the Watchers update, it allows us to acquire a few extra times that we wouldn't normally go down. We're not really going to be punished for it. So in my opinion, it gives us a little bit more ability to choose those extra times, and therefore those mind controlling troops are definitely something you're going to want in your army. And if it's not going to hurt your progression, then why not go for it? Anyway, that's all I have time for you in this video. Hopefully you learned something, found something interesting. If you got something to contribute, pop it down in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I've been a monk who's been the Christy Kudos, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and happy gaming.